We can hear you. We can hear you. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. A real pleasure to be here at this year's Fintech Week. Fintech Nigeria has come of age, pioneering in unique manner across our dear country, Nigeria. To start with, let me congratulate Dr. Shegun Aina, who is the convener of Fintech Nigeria, for the excellent work Fintech Nigeria has been able to achieve. And to also congratulate the entire team that has consistently worked with deep commitment and loyalty to get us to where we are this morning. It's a unique week, given all that is happening in our country. Today, the fintech industry has become one of the core pillars that our country intends to rely on to be a key player in the marketplace. And so, if you have my presentation, could you please put it on screen?
Okay, so your presentation is coming up. It's coming up now.
All right. Okay. So I'll just go ahead while it is coming up. This is an exciting industry right now, particularly with the COVID pandemic that ravaged the globe and is still threatening a second wave. We thank God for safety in Nigeria relatively. The fintech industry globally, if I will start from that standpoint, continue to see significant investments poured into this segment because of the value and the potential that it has. If you look between 2017 and 2019, our 2017 investment in the fintech industry was about $50 billion, but last year it had grown to over $136 billion. And several unicorns have emerged in the last year alone. You have the likes of Airwallex, Chime, Judo Bank, WeFax, Liquid. These are all big boys or big players that have a capitalization in excess of $1 billion. And we have our own InterSwitch from Nigeria also competing effectively in the league of the big players. So some of the key trends that are shaping the financial landscape globally, I think the presenter just started with that, APIs, artificial intelligence, which is allowing us to automate processes, create use cases, and of course, try plug and play in order to test the viability of those innovation using sandbox and all the technology available. Big data is big because with big data, we are able to deepen our understanding of customer preferences and begin to churn out tailored services to add value. Blockchain is big, major, and for a continent like Africa, for Nigeria in particular, the open, inclusive, and secure networks that it brings to bear is something that we should be talking about more actively, not just from financial transactions, but I'll get that in a short while. I'll get to that. Partnerships is absolutely critical. It's an ecosystem play, and with the technology platforms available, we're able to leverage and bring and unleash significant value. And so growth of fintech firms typically have been driven by technology evolution, changing customer demands, understanding it and leveraging it well, availability of funding, and of course, regulatory support. So let me bring it home to Nigeria. Nigeria is actually a perfect location for fintech startups and fintech industry for several reasons. One, the penetration of mobile and increasing penetration of smartphone in our country, which is in the range of 36% now, about 55 million odd smartphone users in Nigeria, and projected to grow to over 114 million by 2025. That creates a big platform for a lot of interesting things to happen. We have a large youthful population. We're expected to be the third largest country globally, and our median age is 19. That's striking. 19, 20, that's striking. By the time we get to that level in 2025, we should have built certain interesting opportunities that we unleash globally. And of course, there's a strong cashless push by our regulator, the central bank, trying its best to support movement onto digital platforms. And so when you look at the fintech industry in Nigeria, we currently have well over 200 well-known fintechs, funding in the range of $560 million in the last 3 years. We have real participation by the fintech industry in the financial services, dealing with 39% payments, lending about 28%, savings about 11% of the industry are actually driven by fintech players. We do have increasing participation of women in the fintech space. Of top 50 fintechs, 22% have female co-founders or leaders, and we expect that to keep growing. Over 48% of the top 50 fintech have women in senior management. So we're getting to be more gender-friendly and gender-balanced in the fintech industry. In terms of value, key levers for value, first is creating economic value. At the end of the day, it's about expanding revenue pools in order to attract foreign direct investment, driving financial access, where we actually create wealth for the citizenry, and of course, using fintech to create multiplier effect in the marketplace, be it from business to consumer, consumer to business interactions. Recently, as I said, COVID pandemic came visiting, and the fintech industry has helped significantly in Nigeria in coping with the challenges that a post-COVID world is having to cope with. If you look at the agency banking business, for instance, which is primarily driven by activities in the fintech space, typically about 16,000 new agency locations were being created or established in Nigeria before April 2020. By August, that number had essentially doubled, and now we have about 30,000 new agency banking locations being established in the country on a monthly basis. SANEF, the various fintechs, the various banks, including EcoBank, have been very active in this area. And the whole idea is to bring financial services to every neighborhood in order to have participation in wealth creation. So from a standpoint of a keynote, I would like to place certain key items in front of this community for further deliberations. One, the fintech industry now needs to take steps forward to create something like a digital school of fintech. Talent is absolutely critical to the future of the industry. Having the right talent and grooming the talent in a manner that it understands the needs of the financial services industry. It creates scale and makes us the pure center of excellence for best people in fintech industry globally. I think that with all the technologies available, working with the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, working with Fintech Nigeria, this is a project that we can create. If you look in business schools worldwide, you talk of the Harvards, the Yales, the Columbia, the London Business School, Lagos Business School. In fintech, we can also create fintech school and certifications that become acceptable worldwide. This is something that we can take on as an industry. The second is we need to go further in solving problems of our citizenry beyond payments. So wealth creation, for instance, in the health sector, in the agri sector, education sector, transportation, fashion and creative industry, commodities, capital markets. I mean, these are areas where we need to have better collaboration between fintechs, banks, telcos, not from trying to compete at each other, but there's huge value if we revolutionize, or when we revolutionize, for instance, the health industry from the ability to pay leveraging on fintech solutions, ability to have health insurance. We can actually have our own Nigeria care, not just Obamacare in the US, pioneered by the fintech industry in collaboration with relevant stakeholders. And if we look at what is happening in the mineral resources area, where items such as gold and other precious metals are being talked about as preservation of wealth and value, there is much that the fintech industry can look at in collaborating such that we're able to take this to value creation, either for lending, for wealth preservation, for growth of wealth, like India has done with its various jewelry across every household. The third is monetizing data. So we're sitting on a treasure trove of data. And there is still quite a lot to do, both from the standpoint of better user interface, user experience, better identification of value points. So credit, for instance. Today we have BVN that's worked well in Nigeria. We have identification from NIMSI that is also improving. So you bring together unique identification and the data of the performance of the citizenry, we can actually facilitate and move much faster in credit solutions that also spur the economy to greater heights. Because with productivity, right consumption, right value creation, we can leverage data that we have to move faster. The fourth item I would like to talk about is challenging the status quo from a continent standpoint. So with the Continental Free Trade Agreement that is coming up and is going to become operational, in Nigeria we have BVN, we have Global Standing Instruction, GSI. How do we position ahead for an African kind of BVN, an African kind of a Pan-African kind of global standing instructions, so that things like blockchain can come into play for cross-border payments in order to help our export industry, help our agriculture industry, help create employment in Nigeria, such that wealth creation goes to the front burner rather than poverty alleviation. In all this, and I noticed the sessions yesterday, we also need to improve on our knowledge of cyber defense, cyber crime, and all that. And I see in the presentations coming up that each of these areas will be discussed with in greater depth. For us at EcoBank, we'll continue to provide, to open up our platform to support the fintech industry. We work with Fintech Nigeria to promote Africa Fintech. We do an annual Fintech challenge at EcoBank, and we'd like to collaborate more to have a handshake between what Fintech Nigeria is doing and how we promote our best fintechs into Africa. We have to take that space within Africa. Our Pan-African switch as EcoBank will always be available. We are willing to place the fact that we are in 33 countries operating at the disposition of our fintechs in Nigeria in order that we create better value for our country and better dominate the continent. Once again, this is a unique opportunity to take the fintech agenda to the next level. I want to congratulate again Dr. Aino and the team. I want to congratulate the Secretariat. I want to congratulate my colleagues. I see Ebenezer will be speaking shortly. All of us coming together, Adeba Jomo, all my other colleagues, both in the banking industry, in the financial services industry, my colleagues at EcoBank, for everything that we're putting together and counting on the continued support of regulators to take the fintech agenda to the forefront of wealth creation and sustainable growth and economic development for our country, Nigeria. I'd like to stop here. Eshe Pupo, thank you very much. Nagode, Imela, Danke, merci beaucoup. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick Akiwoto. As a writer, I can tell you that what you have shared in the last 15 minutes is enough for me to write a full-page column. And it just tells you of the possibilities of the industry and in the industry. And I mean, what you tabled for the ecosystem of players is something that is good to take home with. One, you talked about the digital school of fintech. Two, you talked about solving problems beyond payments. That is a critical one. Three, you talk about monetizing data. And lastly, challenging